Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the dark and gruesome history of human punishment. Get ready to have your minds blown as we uncover the 5 most brutal punishments ever recorded, like something straight out of your nightmares. We're talking torture methods so intense they'd make even the bravest souls shiver. Make sure you're subscribed and have smashed that like button because we're about to drop some serious knowledge on you. And hey, if you're brave enough, stick around to the end. We're going to try and find someone crazy enough to pick one of these punishments to experience. First up, we're talking about the eagle's wings. Imagine this: your worst enemy has you captured. You're thrown into a dark, damp dungeon, the air thick with the scent of fear and despair. They tie you down, and just when you think it can't get any worse, they start breaking your ribs. One by one, you hear the sickening crack. I'm talking every single rib snapping under the pressure. The pain is unimaginable, each breath a struggle, but they're not done. Oh no, the worst is yet to come. You think it can't get any more horrific, but you're wrong. They reach into the gaping wounds they've created and pull out your lungs. Yes, you heard that right, your lungs. Still breathing, you watch in horror as your own lungs lay on your chest, fluttering like the wings of a bird. Brutal, right? The sight alone is enough to drive anyone mad. Now, historians still debate whether this punishment actually happened or if it's just a scary story. Some argue it's a myth, a tale to instill fear. Ancient texts describe the eagle's wings, but there's no physical evidence to prove it. Manuscripts from the era are filled with such gruesome tales. But hey, whether it's real or just a legend, it's definitely one of the most messed up things I've ever heard. The sheer cruelty of it is mind-boggling. Can you imagine the agony? The sheer terror of those final moments? The psychological torment must have been as unbearable as the physical pain. Let's move on before I have nightmares. The human capacity for cruelty is truly astounding, and it's a relief that such practices are, hopefully, a thing of the past. Today, we have human rights organizations and laws to protect against such inhumane treatment. But it's important to remember these stories, real or not, to remind us of the dark paths humanity can take. So next time you hear a tale of medieval torture, think about the lessons we can learn from it. Let's strive for a world where such brutality remains only in the pages of history. And with that, let's close the chapter on the eagle's wings. Whether myth or reality, it's a stark reminder of the importance of compassion and humanity. Stay tuned for more tales from the dark corners of history. Until next time, stay curious and stay kind. Next up, we're diving into a punishment so horrific it's hard to even imagine: being boiled alive. We're not talking about lobsters here, people. We're talking about humans being submerged in giant cauldrons of scalding hot liquid. And it wasn't just water they used. Oh no, they got creative with the cruelty. We're talking oil, molten lead, even wax. Imagine the searing pain, the skin melting away, the screams echoing through the air. It's the stuff of nightmares. This punishment was reserved for the worst of the worst traitors, heretics, anyone who dared to cross the powers that be. It was a slow and agonizing death designed to inflict maximum pain and suffering. Can you imagine the fear, the desperation as the heat intensified? It's almost too gruesome to think about, but it's a chilling reminder of the dark side of human history. Chapter 3. Crucifixion, a death sentence of agony. You've definitely heard of this one, crucifixion. It's one of the most iconic and brutal forms of punishment in history. We're talking about nailing or tying someone to a massive wooden cross and leaving them there to die a slow and agonizing death. This wasn't just about killing someone, it was about making an example out of them. The Romans, those masters of brutality, used crucifixion to punish rebels, slaves, and anyone else who dared to defy their rule. Imagine the pain. Imagine the weight of your own body pulling down on your wounds, the burning sun beating down on you, the thirst, the hunger, the utter despair. It could take hours, even days, to die from crucifixion. It's a punishment that's as efficient as it is cruel. And sadly, it's a method that's still used in some parts of the world today. Let's move on. This one's too heavy. Chapter 4. Rat torture, small creature, big terror. Okay, this next one is seriously messed up. We're talking rat torture. This method of torture is as horrifying as it sounds, and it has a long, dark history. This is the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night. Just the thought of it can send shivers down your spine and make you question the depths of human cruelty. Imagine this: you're tied down, completely helpless. Your hands and feet are bound, and there's no way to escape. The room is dark and cold, adding to the sense of dread. Your captors place a hungry rat on your stomach and cover it with a bucket. The rat is trapped and it starts to panic, sensing the danger. Then they start heating the bucket. The metal begins to warm up, and soon it becomes unbearably hot. The rat, feeling the intense heat, becomes frantic. The rat, desperate to escape the heat, starts to claw and bite its way into your flesh. It's a primal, instinctual reaction to the unbearable conditions. Can you imagine the panic, the feeling of those tiny teeth digging into you? The pain is excruciating, and the psychological terror is even worse. It's the stuff of nightmares, the kind of horror that lingers in your mind long after you've woken up, making you question the limits of human cruelty. This torture method was used in Europe during the Middle Ages and even popped up during the Dutch Revolt in the 16th century. It was a time when fear and brutality were often used to control and manipulate. They say even the mere threat of rat torture was enough to make people talk. It's just that terrifying. The psychological impact was immense, often breaking the will of even the strongest individuals. And get this, rat torture has even made its way into pop culture. It's a testament to its enduring infamy and the universal fear it evokes. Remember that scene in Too Fast, Too Furious? Yeah, pure nightmare fuel. It's a stark reminder of how this ancient method of torture still resonates with us today, a chilling echo of humanity's darker side. Chapter 5, Crushed by Rocks, the Pressure of Punishment. This last one is called Peine forte et dure, which basically means strong and hard punishment. And trust me, it lived up to its name. This was not just any ordinary punishment, it was a method designed to instill fear and compliance. This brutal punishment was all about crushing. The sheer brutality of it was meant to break not just the body, but the spirit as well. We're talking about huge, heavy rocks being piled onto a person's chest until they literally couldn't take it anymore. The weight would increase incrementally, each stone adding to the unbearable pressure. Imagine the pressure, the feeling of your ribs cracking under the weight, the air being slowly squeezed out of your lungs, each breath becoming more laboured, each moment more excruciating than the last. It's a slow and agonizing way to go. The pain would be relentless, the suffering prolonged, making it one of the most feared punishments of its time. This punishment was used in Europe from the Middle Ages all the way up to the 18th century, usually on folks who refused to plead guilty or wouldn't testify in court. It was a method to ensure that silence was not an option. It was a way to force confessions or cooperation, even if it meant crushing the life out of someone. The authorities believed that the threat of such a gruesome end would compel even the most stubborn individuals to comply. Talk about a rock and a hard place, right? The choice was stark: speak up or face a slow, painful death. It's a grim reminder of the lengths people will go to exert their power and control. The use of such extreme measures highlights the darker aspects of human nature and the desperate need for dominance. The public nature of these punishments served as a warning to others. Watching someone endure such torment was meant to deter any thoughts of defiance. Historical records show that this method was not just about punishment, but about making an example out of the condemned. It was a spectacle of suffering designed to maintain order through fear. Executioners would prepare the rocks meticulously, knowing that each stone brought the victim closer to their end. The process was methodical, almost ritualistic in its cruelty. The crowd's reactions ranged from horror to morbid fascination. The sight of someone being slowly crushed was both a source of terror and a grim form of entertainment. Judges who ordered such punishments wielded immense power. Their decisions could mean the difference between life and death, and they often used this power to enforce their will. The concept of justice in those times was harsh and unforgiving. The scales of justice were often tipped in favor of those in power, leaving little room for mercy. Peine forte et dure was just one of many brutal methods used to maintain control. The array of torture devices from that era is a testament to the lengths to which authorities would go to enforce their rule. For those who lived under such regimes, the constant threat of such punishments was a daily reality. It was a world where fear was a tool of governance and suffering was a means to an end. In the end, the pressure of punishment was not just physical, but psychological. It was a crushing weight that bore down on the mind and spirit, leaving a lasting impact on those who witnessed or endured it. The legacy of such brutal practices serves as a stark reminder of the darker chapters of human history. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring quest for justice and humanity. Thanks for watching. If you found this video intriguing, make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more deep dives into history's darkest corners. Stay curious and we'll see you in the next video.